the new main and side quest lines available this week, which I haven't done because I'm going to log in and I know someone.
Fuck.
She's 2 bars away from Renown 20. I'm just like, man, I am really being shown up here. It's pretty brutal. So, new main and side quest lines are available this week. And actually, this is where I can naturally talk about the rather interesting and abnormal, but sort of totally me way that I recently enjoyed the World of Warcraft. So, here is the deal. I was recently in the California. Thankfully, this happened after BlizzCon in a hotel paid for with my own money. So it has nothing to do with Blizzard. But one of the people we were hanging out with was just like, hey, I just went to the dispensary. Would you like this little sweet? I'm like, oh, I mean, I'm in California. When in Rome.
They have dispensaries that give you sweets.
Yeah.
Like a little candy store.
Little sweet shops everywhere. It's great.
Little sweet shops. Oh, that's really wholesome.
So, man, better quality than here. Anyway, so let's just say I somehow found myself under similar circumstances back home. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I'm in a situation where Defenders of the Dream, Guardians, whatever the fuck it's called, comes out. But the only way that I can play it is on a laptop. Now, I don't know about you, but hunching over the laptop like a proper gamer goblin gremlin, not cool.
It's great.
You know? You're going to get a sore back. It's going to be terrible. So, here's what I did. Hook this bad boy up to the TV. Now, turns out whenever... owner of said TV is big artist, likes highly saturated colors, and maybe had a slight issue with self-control at a certain time when in a television shop. So, Matt, it was a 70-inch OLED quantum dot.
Sweet Mary, Mother of God.
Yeah, exactly. So I hook the laptop up to that. I install, of course, by Monk, the excellent developer of the console port add-on. I fire up console port, put the Xbox controller in via Bluetooth, and away I go, right? So obviously I was predisposed to immersion, given my neurochemical makeup, shall we say. But I was just sitting there. Big ass TV, right? Camera a bit closer to my character. And it certainly makes you appreciate how much detail, and how much craft that the developers actually do try to put into the game.
Game's pretty?
Yeah, game is gorgeous, and the new zone is gorgeous. But what happens is, when you have zoomed your camera out to Narnia, right? And, you have UI panels everywhere. You're listening to, I don't know, some metal, some hard bass, or whatever the hell you are listening to. Instead of the game music, maybe some people have disabled sounds entirely. It's just you're just playing the quest as in like, I need to go forward. I need to get the renown token and to plant my seed, and you're just there in this fucking stupor. Because the way half the time when you're playing WoW, or like any MMO, you start off with the best intention, like, I'm going to read the quest text. I'm really going to give it a college try. I'm going to try to enjoy this game. And then you just end up being like, progress. I'm a progress ghoul. That's how MMOs work. It's okay, don't worry. It's just how MMOs are. But do you know what it made me realize, right? It was the strangest thing. Because usually when you're doing the campaign, for a lot of people, they're just like, give me my renown token. I want to get closer to those 441 gloves at renown rank 7, and my larger objective is to get my augment rune and maybe some mounts. And people are just zooming through. But the thing is, when your character and your camera are really close and you've done the offset, now the offset matters because this is going to be an incredible visual example.
Oh my God.
So,
what are you doing? Okay.
See the way I've put this screen like this?
Hang on, let's...
And there we go. Now, the people, cannot really appreciate, what's going on in this screen. But the second you turn it like this, or like that, you can see so much more. And this applies to your World of Warcraft character. Because when your camera is right behind your character, dead on in the center, and way far back, you cannot see shit. If your camera is closer to your character, especially this is the case for melee characters, like a paladin or something, and then you offset your camera horizontally, right? It then means that the perspective you're looking at your camera is actually a lot more similar to the natural camera angle of a third-person action-y game, like the Spidered Man, or the God of War Man, or the various other games.
Or Alan Wake Man.
Or Alan Wakeman. Right?
Yeah.
It just brings it closer to that sort of, big cinematic AAA game. And obviously, WoW is not a big cinematic AAA game. But playing through the campaign, it was actually pretty good. The campaign obviously ends with a pretty cringe, we're going to try to say friendship is magic, but not actually deserve it. But the thing that mattered is, that bit you're going into the Barrow Den with, is it with Toronto?
At the start, yeah.
Yeah.
I
not
think
with
you
Toronto.
go in first and she comes in later.
Okay, yes,
Because
no,
you're
it is. Yeah.
chasing your woman morning light.
Yeah. And you're going in there, and do you know what happens? Especially for me, remember, I am sitting pretty damn close to a 70-inch OLED TV with a high refresh rate. WoW is at a high-ass resolution because Tim Apple has done some despicable things with, Satan to make these... Basically, these M1 to M3 Macs are kind of cracked. Now, obviously, they're completely bloody useless for gaming in 99.999% of instances. It just so happens that World of Warcraft has a native Apple Silicon port. Thank you, engineers at Blizzard. Appreciate you. What I meant is, playing the game on a controller, and it's just even that thing where you hit the button like you do in a character action game, and your paladin does, the final verdict. And it's, the big... swoop around, do the big whack with the sword. Your Divine Storm also procs out of that because your talents. So the basic gameplay feels really satisfying because the animations and the sound effects in World of Warcraft are honestly better than most people would probably give them credit for. I certainly remember whenever I was playing Guild Wars 2, and I tried to do a similar thing, giving it the more, action-oriented camera style that they have in Guild Wars 2. And my first thought was yeah, World of Warcraft is nicer to look at, and its animations are better, and its spell effects are better.
Yeah, really has been for
yeah.
a long time now.
And just suffice to say, going through the first four, I think it was the first 4 chapters of the campaign, it really worked. And I was just sitting there being immersed. Right? And, I'm not saying that if you want to enjoy World of Warcraft, go to your local dispensary, Californians. Not literally that, but it was certainly one of those things where it's playing World of Warcraft under a fairly different set of circumstances to normally playing it. I suppose playing WoW in a way that is far closer to how I would play any other game that just has a story that I'm meant to follow for the sake of appreciating the story. And that was the bit that was different, as opposed to World of Warcraft, an MMO where we progress our characters. And for whatever reason, maybe it's just because I've typically played more cinematic games hooked up to a TV, with a gamepad, as I think you have as well. And whenever I play games in PC, it's usually, Total War. Just playing an old Total War game for the 8 millionth time, or Age of Empires, or something like that. It's more overtly video games. Mm-hmm. I suppose I was just surprised that even though there are narrative quirks and the dragons really need to learn how to talk just a little bit faster, I was just kind of surprised how well it felt, or how good it felt. Especially dragon riding. Dragon riding on a gamepad actually works pretty damn well.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was good.
Mouse look is not a good way to control anything. At least a vehicle never really has been. So it hasn't.
So that's that little segment that's been sort of slow cooking in me since the start of the stream. And I suppose the point of this part of our show notes is to say that further chapters of the story have unlocked. There is Chapter 4, The Eye of Ysera, Chapter 5, Dream of Fields and Fire, as well as 2 side quest lines available this week. One of them is the Rathian and Veranoth quest, where we basically, kind of go to Odin. We're like, hey, Odin, you're over. Goodbye. Veranoth freezes him. which, I mean, certainly some people thought was a bit like, oh, that's a lot of power out of nowhere against Odin. I haven't played that quest line yet, so I shall reserve my judgment. But anyway,
set after the raid finale then, are her eyes glowing enough? Is the question.
Good point, because if this is set after,
yeah, which it should be, because
I mean,
raid's it.
You know those like brain expansion memes?
Yep.
Like,
it's available pre-raid.
I did laugh.
Yeah.
I did laugh a lot at, like, you know, all the characters, like, you know, that feeling when Azeroth hits you. Like, especially Marithra.
Right, yeah.
Marithra looked like she was fucking zoinked.
I liked it.
Oh, no, I like that bit too, but I was like, Marithra, did you just, like, go to your dentist and steal all the Xanax? You look, you know, it's like, Marithra, you look like you are gone. I don't know, just funny animations. Anyhow, so you do that, basically get the Storm Dragons away from Odin, because Odin is a mean, nasty man. And I've seen a lot of people like, oh my god, Odin, they just hate him. Or, you know, I don't want to dive into culture war stuff, but I think some people have tried to bring a little bit of culture war into the character of Odin. It's kind of worth noting, like, Odin was always a total arse.
All of, like, ever since they were introduced, all of them have been Bellends, except for Tyr, basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
Odin is a turbo arse. And this whole thing, like, people are like, oh my god, I can't believe they've turned the Titans evil. And I just think, like, did you not play during Wrath of the Lich King? Like, are you a Legion baby? Is that what's happened?
Statistically, more likely, I think.
That's really...
It's also considering
Odin. I feel your year is that way.
Yeah, because Odin was a absolute, like, ball bag in the warrior stuff, but he was still your class leader, so people who play warrior and see that go, oh, he's our ally.
Even basically. In myth, he's an arse, right?
Yes.
No, he's just a real swell dude.
Yeah, no, honestly, none of the what's the term? What's the term for when there's like multiple gods? Is it
pantheon?
Is it? Yeah, but
polytheist.
Like, is it polytheist? Polytheist. Yeah, the polytheist stuff. They're all mental. I've been reading a bunch of what's it called? Oh my god, reading a bunch of stuff about like Greek myth recently again, because FF14 poisoned my brain forever. I'm just like, man, these people are all mental.